How are you, Mr. Foreman?
Good, Judge. How are you doing?
Good. I think we're doing Culberson first when the jail comes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, jail. How are you?
Good morning, sir. We're doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. I guess we're gonna do Miss Culberson first.
That sounds great. We appreciate it.
All right. All right, so I'm going to call the case of people of the state of Michigan versus Takesha Elaine Culberson. Ma'am, you are Takesha Elaine Culberson?
Yes.
All right. Counsel, for your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Officer of Public Defender, here with Ms. Culberson for the purposes of arraignment today.
All right. These are the charges that have been alleged. This is the time and place for an arraignment. These are the charges that have been alleged against you, and then I'll indicate some of your rights in the matter. It is alleged that the people of the state of Michigan versus Takesha Elaine Culberson did on January 3rd, 2023 at 524 North Chestnut, City of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan. Count one, resisting and obstructing, commonly known as resisting and obstructing, did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Officer Lucas Kilborn, a police officer of Lansing Police Department that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81D, parent 1. That's a felony, 2 years and/or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement or under MCL 750.81D6 for another violation arising from the same transaction. That's count one, commonly referred to as resisting and obstructing. Did in count two, assault, batter, wound, resist, oppose, obstruct, or endanger Officer Alexis Robertson, a police officer of Lansing Police Department that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81D, parent 1. That's a felony, 2 years and/or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in place of confinement or under MCL 750.81D6 for another violation arising from the same transaction. Ma'am, there is an habitual offender second offense notice. Take notice the defender was previously convicted of a felony or attempting to commit a felony in that on or about May 16th of 2022. She was convicted of the offense of police officer assisting, resisting, and obstructing in violation of 750.81D1 and the 30th Circuit Court for the Ingham County, state of Michigan. Therefore, defendant is subject to the penalties provided by MCL 769.10, 1.5 times the maximum sentence on primary offense or a lesser term. The maximum penalty cannot be less than maximum term for a first conviction. Ma'am, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you?
Yes.
All right. You have certain rights in these allegations. I'm going to run you through those rights. You have the right to a trial, tried by jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You are represented at this arraignment. You also have a right to counsel, and you're represented at this arraignment by Public Defender Jonathan Foreman. Ma'am, do you plan to seek additional representation from the Public Defender's Office? Ms. Culberson, do you plan? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to indicate yes for the Register of Actions. Ma'am, do you have a current address for the court file that you want to receive any type of notice at?
It will be 735 Chicago.
735 Chicago. And is that Lansing?
Yes.
What's the zip code there?
48915.
Okay, 48915. Do you have a phone number for the court file?
No, I do not. Oh, yeah.
All right.
I was 517
517
303
303
0336.
0336. Thank you. Ma'am, are you on probation or parole?
Neither. No.
Are you employed?
No.
The first date that you will be on these 2 felony files, you'll be in front of Judge Simmons, I believe, Judge Ward. You have a probable cause conference on July 13th, 2023 at 9:30, and a preliminary examination on July 20th at 9 o'clock. Your July 20th preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime was been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. It's my understanding now you'll be seeking representation at that preliminary examination from the Public Defender's Office. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'll automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Culberson this morning. She informed me that she's a Lansing resident, a lifelong Lansing resident, is my understanding. She lives with her uncle at that address on Chicago. Given the relatively non-serious nature of these offenses, we would request a personal bond this morning.
Thank you. I have it. I believe this was committed as a. Well, this is the second file I have in regards to Ms. Culberson. Based on, I've had the opportunity to see her criminal history. There is assaultive conduct out of 2010, 2011, 2010, 2013, 2021, 2022. Similar charge out of 2021. All right. So if you're able to make bond, ma'am, I'll indicate the following bond conditions. No use of alcohol or drugs. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No possession of a firearm. And report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. Based on the criminal history of this individual and we have another file on this individual, I'm going to set bond at $1,000 cash surety. So that's all for the record on that file. And then we have a subsequent file that is actually, I need to just tell you the nature of the bench warrant that was placed for you. This is out of an MDOP out of Judge Simmons' courtroom. And it appears that there was a bench warrant out of Judge Simmons' courtroom for a fail to appear on June 26th at 1:30. That was on an MDOP charge. It's file 23-01451. Counsel, your appearance for the record on that file.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Ms. Culberson for the purposes of this bench warrant arraignment today.
Thank you. And ma'am, you were once again Takesha Culberson, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I'll transfer any information from the previous file onto this file. This is a bench warrant arraignment. This is on a bench warrant that was failed to appear for pretrial on June 6, 2023 out of Judge Simmons' courtroom. You previously arraigned on this, so all the arraigning factors and all the arraigning conditions still apply. Counsel, I don't know if you saw this, but Judge Simmons did ask for a bond on this, but I'll hear any allocution on bond on this bench warrant.
Your Honor, given the bond determination in the other matter, we would ask for a low cash bond in this so that Ms. Culberson can accrue any credit if she were unable to post the other bond.
All right, thank you. I'll indicate for the record on July 4th. I should do that. That we arraigned on bench warrant. And I will adopt Judge Simmons' recommendation of 200 cash surety.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Culberson, you should be all set on docket 23-01451.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, is there? I apologize if there's not. Is there a pretrial date on that matter at this time?
Not yet. There's
Okay,
not a pretrial date yet. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see one. It's pretrial to be determined. That's a good question.
Thank you.
But it's to be. All right, and then the next person we'll do, so just back to the. We'll do the next is Damon Bisbee, who also has two files. We'll do the second one. All right, we're on the record in docket. Well, we don't have a case number. The call case of Damon Rashad Bisbee. And sir, you are Damon Rashad Bisbee?
Yes, sir.
All right. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Bisbee for the purposes of arraignment today.
All right, Mr. Bisbee, I'm going to read to you the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you. It is alleged that the people of the state of Michigan versus Damon Rashad Bisbee, that on July 4th, 2023 at 1416 Pontiac Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did violate what's commonly referred to as stalking or aggravated stalking, that you did engage in willful course of conduct involved repeated or continuous harassment of Elena Wojcik, the conduct being such that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized or frightened or intimidated or threatened or harassed or molested, said conduct actually causing Elena Wojcik to feel terrorized or frightened or intimidated or threatened or harassed or molested, and at least one of the actions constituting the offense is in violation of a condition of pretrial release contrary to law state of Michigan, that being 750.411I, felony 5 years and or $10,000 is the penalty, probation for any terms of years but not less than 5. The court shall order any law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition, if not taken at arrest. Sir, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna read to you some felony rights you have in this felony matter, this 5-year matter. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to have question the witnesses against you, to question the witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses that may appear in your defense at trial, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you want to testify. You also have the right to counsel. You are represented by Jonathan Foreman from the Public Defender's Office. Do you plan to seek additional representation from the Public Defender's Office in regard to this file?
As of right now, yes.
Okay. So that's yes as to PD office. I will indicate that for the record. Your hearing dates in this matter are you have a probable cause conference in front of Judge Simmons on July 13th at 8:30. And then you have a preliminary examination in front of Judge Simmons on July 20th at 8:30. Preliminary examination is a probable cause conference or preliminary examination in which the people would have to prove that there's probable cause to believe that this crime was committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. And it's my understanding you plan to be represented by the Public Defender's Office at that preliminary examination. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have a current address for the court file that you want to receive notice at?
Yes, I already do.
Is that 818 Baker Street address?
Yes, that's good, but I can't be in that area.
Does that? My understanding, that Judge Ward indicated that the area is down to 1,000 feet now.
It's down to 1,000.
Is that Baker Street well, as of Friday, my understanding is it's a different file. Okay. So the no contact order on that provision would be 2,000 feet. Does that Baker Street address put you within 2,000 feet of Pontiac Street?
Probably so. So I have another address.
All right. Why don't you give me that other address, sir?
All right, 1026 Smith.
1020 Smith?
1026 Smith Avenue.
All right. And is that in Lansing?
Yes, sir.
And what's the zip code there?
48911.
All right. Do you have a phone that's a good contact number for you?
Yes, sir. 843
And what's
697 3816.
And what were the first three? What was the area code there?
843 South Carolina.
843. All right. Thank you. Are you on probation or parole?
No, sir.
Are you employed?
Yes, sir.
And where are you employed?
Eminem Moving.
Say it again. I couldn't hear that.
Eminem Moving.
Okay. M&M Moving.
Excuse me.
All right.
Sir?
I'll enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. Spoke with Mr. Bisbee this morning. It's my understanding he just started that job at M&M Moving. Obviously, he would like to maintain that. We would request a personal bond, given the given that.
Thank you. I have, if you're able to make bond, I will set the following bond conditions on this aggravated stalking file. So GPS tether is ordered. And that's zone notification. No use of alcohol or drugs. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim in this case, once again, is Elena Wojcik. That's 2,000 feet of Elena Wojcik's, or 2,000 feet of where she lives, her person, her work, school, or home, or business. And that's direct or indirect contact, which seems to be the genesis of this file. No possession of a firearm. Report to pretrial services within 48 hours. I've taken a look at the criminal history involved in this matter. There's also, which does have an outstanding domestic assault and has another file that's a PA 53 of domestic assault, aggravated stalking. In my understanding, this case was just looked, well, no, it's a different case. I do have a bond recommendation from the prosecutor's office, indicates protection of the public under 756 for defendant being on probation, parole, or pending other criminal charges. Crime involved violence, has a history of violent, defendant has a history of violent behavior, history of threatening, harassing behavior. This is a domestic assault or it stems from an intimate partner relationship. There's stalking behavior, hence the charge, escalation. They ask for a money bail with a conditional release of no possession of a firearm, no alcohol or illicit any controlled substances, or not to physically assault victim. Based on the indication of the aggravated stalking, I'm going to set bond at 10,000 cash or surety. Then we have the second file. So we're back on the record also. So there's the aggravated stalking file. We have a second file of a PA 53 violation that comes, that actually that conduct runs into the no contact out of the domestic assault in front of Judge Ward. So I'll call the case of People versus Damon Rashad Bisbee. Sir, you are Damon Rashad Bisbee, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Sir, all right. And counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Bisbee for the purposes of arraignment today.
All right. And sir, on this PA 53 violation, the violation is an indication that is part of the bond in front of Judge Ward, that you violated the bond by having contact with Elena Wojcik. That's the nature of the PA 53 violation. I will transfer all the, I don't have the PA 53 violation is right now, I don't have a date to be determined on that PA 53 violation. So I don't have a hearing date yet. I do have that initially it was PR bonded in July 2nd of 2023. That's all right. 1 second. The July 2nd date that led to the aggravated stalking charge. So I don't have I have a date to be determined. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond on this PA 53 matter?
Nothing to add, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to indicate that I've arraigned you on the PA 53. It appears that Judge Ward was involved in the case. I'm going to remand on the PA on this case until further contact is made with Judge Ward. So I'm going to remand on the PA 53. It appears that PA 53 led to the genesis of the current felony file. And so I'll remand on PA 53. And that's all for the record on that file. You're all set, Mr. Bisbee.
Thank you.
And then next we'll do, our next in line is Mr. Reese Joseph Martin. This is the new one. All right, so we're on the record in docket 20-00497. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Reese Joseph Martin. And sir, you are Reese Joseph Martin?
Correct, Your Honor.
Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Martin for the purpose of arraignment today.
And Mr. Martin, I'm going to read the charges that have been alleged against you from this file. This is the date of arraignment, and then some rights you have regard to the file. It is indicated the people of the state of Michigan versus Reese Joseph Martin that on November 2nd, 2019, at the offense location of 1215 East Michigan Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you did make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, Christopher Thompson, contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan, that being MCL 750.81 parents 1. There's restitution in this case if the offense resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another under 780.81. This is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506 if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Mr. Martin, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have certain rights in this matter, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses. You, of course, are represented by attorney Jonathan Foreman from the Public Defender's Office. Do you plan to seek additional legal representation from the Public Defender's Office in this file?
Not at this moment, Your Honor.
Okay. So you plan to either represent your? Go ahead, Mr. Foreman.
Mr. Martin and I discussed that he would be applying for a lawyer from the Public Defender's Office right here.
All right. So you will be applying to the Public Defender's Office. Is that correct, Mr. Foreman? I mean, Mr. Martin?
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
All right.
I apologize.
No problem. So yes, and I'll put the PD office. You have the right to court-ordered witnesses appear in your defense. You have the right to remain silent during the trial. You have the right not to have that silence used against you. And you have the right to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Your date, your pretrial date is set for August 7th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in front of Judge Simmons. And sir, is that the Covington Clinton Township address still a good address for you? Or do you have a new address for notice purposes?
I would have a new address, Your Honor.
And what is that, sir?
It would be 3205, and that'd be Berkshire Street, BERKSHIRE, and that'd be Port Huron, Michigan, 48060.
Okay, great. Do you have a phone number that's a good contact number for you?
Yes, that would be 586-242-6676, Your Honor.
All right. Are you on probation or parole, sir?
I am on probation, Your Honor.
And are you employed?
I am employed at Jets Pizza, Your Honor. Yep.
All right. And that's in Lake Huron, or that's in Port Huron?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. The court will automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of your arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. I discussed with Mr. Martin this morning. It's my understanding that he hadn't received notice that he had court on this matter when he was dealing with his other matter in Port Huron, which is what he's on probation for right now. That's when it was alerted that he had this file to take care of, and that's why he was brought over to the jail in Lansing. He lives in Port Huron with his dad, Your Honor. He's been there for over a year now. He does have transportation to get back and forth from Lansing for his court dates, and he and I discussed that. So given the relative, it is of course an assaultive allegation, but given the relative non-serious nature of the assaultive allegation and his ties to the Port Huron community where he's working and where he has transportation to get back and forth to Lansing, we would request a personal bond.
Thank you. So if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel without permission. I'm gonna have, I don't think this is the nature of this offense. There's no contact. All right. We'll do a no contact with a victim directly or indirectly. And that no contact, I believe that's hospital personnel, if I see correctly. That's Christopher Thompson. With Christopher Thompson. So you were to stay 2,000 feet from Christopher Thompson's place of business. Where they live, school, or person. No possession of a firearm. This is an older case of 2019. I have what appears to be two prior drinking offenses out of 2000, past that date, 2019. (2022). All right. And so you currently live in Port Huron, is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
But you indicate that you can make your any type of pretrial appointments on this file or any type of hearing conditions on this file?
Yes, Your Honor. Yep.
All right. And how many hours do you have at Jet's Pizza?
I did recently go to a coding school, so I have been focusing on that and looking for a career actually starting out. But so the hours have slightly dropped, but I'd still say right around 30 hours, Your Honor.
All right. And then how many school hours?
As much as possible, I need to get as many websites and projects to prove my abilities, since I don't have any work experience in the field yet, Your Honor.
All right. On this 2019 case, there is no contact with the victim. There's not a GPS, but there is no contact. I'm going to set bond on this older matter at a PR bond of $1,000. All right. So that's all for the record in docket 20-00497. So you're all set, sir.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Then we have a Edmund Jones. So do I have two or one? All right. All right. So, sir, you are Edmund Demetrius Jones.
Correct.
All right. This is time set for a PA 53 violation, arraignment on a PA 53 violation. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Jones for the purposes of this arraignment today.
All right. The nature of the allegations in this matter are that you violated a no contact order with concerning Kristen Kimball, and that you were within 1,000 feet of their exclusion zone. My understanding is that Judge Ward just saw you on this matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm just indicating. It's my understanding that there was a shift from 2,000 feet to 1,000 feet as of Friday, as of
Correct.
yesterday. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. So you understand that you're being arraigned on a violation of that. So my understanding, this is a violation of that no contact order as a part of this PA 53. You understand that, sir, don't you?
Yes.
All right. And my understanding of this is the only charge today that they may be seeking on other charges. You have certain rights in this matter. Of course, you have the right to be represented by counsel at this PA 53. Mr. Foreman, do you know if he plans to seek counsel on this?
I believe so, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to indicate yes to the PD's office. Do you have a current address that is different than the address in which this incident took place?
Where I'm standing now, where Judge Word, where the judge got me at now?
All right. So they've got you on Barnes Street right now. Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. All right, you're still under the present bond conditions of the no contact order. Do you have a phone that's a good place for you to be reached?
Yes.
What number is that?
313 918 4645.
All right. Are you on probation or parole besides these files?
No, sir.
Are you employed?
Yes, sir.
And where are you employed at?
Quality Dairy.
Okay. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment, this no contact order arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond on this file?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that, and I might be wrong, it's just this, my understanding is that there was an order allowing him to receive some belongings from the location. If there was an escort in the process of setting that up, I believe is how we landed here. So we would request a personal bond. I don't believe there's any, my understanding is that there are no new charges at this time and that there was no assaultive contact or anything like that. We would request that he be released based on his prior bond.
All right. I don't have that information. I have contact and so my information is a little different concerning the contact between defendant and the complaining victim in this case. So I'm going to let Judge Ward figure it out. I'm going to remand on the PA 53 violation. Judge Ward, he's on probation, Judge Ward. Judge Ward redid the no contact order as of yesterday. And then we get this and potential new charges. But there's no doubt that the victim called law enforcement in regards to a no contact order that became a problem. And there are text messages involved from the PA 53 violation. So I'm going to remand the defendant on the PA 53 violation. And then Mr. Jones can readdress it at the hearing. I don't think a hearing has been set. A hearing is to be determined. All right, so that's all for the record on docket 23-020-454. Mr. Jones, you're all set.
What are you doing?
You can follow up on here, Mr. Jones will explain to you. Yes, sir.
Then we have a Mr. Wicks. Right. So this is people of the state of Michigan versus Cody Harris Wicks. And sir, you are Cody Harris Wicks.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Foreman, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Wicks, who is in custody at Lansing Police Department. We waive any in-person appearances today, representing him for the purposes of this arraignment only.
Thank you. Mr. Wicks, it's time set for arraignment in the matter. And I'm going to read the charges that have been alleged to you and then some rights you have in these felony charges. It is alleged from the people of the state of Michigan versus Cody Harris Wicks that on July 3rd, 2023 at 1301 Hillcrest Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you did what's commonly referred to as felonious assault, did make an assault upon Tammy Dexter with a dangerous weapon, to wit a glass coffee pot, but without intending to commit the crime of murder and inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. Contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that's MCL 750.82. It's a felony, 4 years and or $2,000. DNA to be taken upon arrest. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Did in count 2, which is commonly referred to as assault or assault and battery, did make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, Tammy Dexter, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.811. There may be restitution. The offense resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to that person pursuant to 780.811A. That is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Sir, do you understand the nature of the charges that have been brought against you?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to read you some rights you have in this felony file. You have a felony and misdemeanor. I'll read you your felony rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear on your behalf, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify at trial. You also have the right to counsel. You have the public defender's office for purposes of this arraignment. Do you plan to seek additional representation from the public defender's office in this file?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Your probable cause conference is set for July 14th, 2023 in front of myself, Judge Flores, and your preliminary examination is set on July 21st, 2023 in front of myself, Judge Flores. A probable cause hearing is a preliminary examination, is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime is committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. It's my understanding that you plan to be represented at that preliminary examination by the public defender's office. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an address other than the 1301 Hillcrest address? Or where does Miss Dexter live? Does she live at that Hillcrest Street address?
No, she does not.
All right. All right. So is that your address, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. And you won't be in violation of a no contact order if you go back to that address?
No, sir.
All right. I'm going to put down the Hillcrest Street address for purposes of your address notification. Do you have a phone number that would be a good notification number?
Yes, I do.
What number is that?
It's 517-803-5870.
All right. And are you on probation or parole?
No, sir.
Are you employed?
Yes, sir.
Where are you employed at?
I recycle scrap metal for myself. I'm self-employed.
Enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Counsel, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Wicks this morning. It's my information that he has no assaultive, no prior felonious offenses, nothing of that nature in his criminal history, and he's never failed to appear for court. He's lived in Lansing his whole life. He currently lives with his mom and dad at that Hillcrest address. He also is helping to raise his 5-year-old nephew, who resides there as well. He's not on probation or parole or anything like that at this time, so we would request a personal bond in this matter.
Thank you. If you're able to make bond, Mr. Wicks, I'm going to set the following bond conditions. So there is GPS tether is ordered. No use of alcohol, so that's zone notification. No assaultive behavior. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No out-of-state travel. No contact, direct or indirect, with the victim in this matter, Tammy Dexter. And that's 2,000 feet. For work, place of employment, business or residence or her presence. No possession of a firearm. And to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. I've had the opportunity to see the criminal history here. And counsel, you appear to be, that you are right. I do have nollie pros on misdemeanor behavior, nothing assaultive in nature. I do have a felonious assault, though, in regards to the allegation and an assault and battery, which are both assaultive crimes. And I'm going to set bond at 2,000, 10%. That's all for the record on People versus Cody Harris Wicks. You're all set, sir. And then we have Christine Marie Sabercool. Right, we're on the record in the People of the State of Michigan versus Christine Marie Sabercool. There we go. Thank you. And ma'am, you are Christine Marie Sabercool?
Sabercool, yes.
Sabercool, thank you. Attorney, your appearance for the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of Public Defender, here with Ms. Sabercool for the purposes of arraignment today.
All right, ma'am, this is the time set for arraignment today. So I'm going to indicate to you what the charges are and the nature of some of your rights in this charge. It is alleged that by the people of the state of Michigan versus Christine Marie Sabercool, that on July 3rd, 2023, at the offense location of 1038 Parker Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, what's commonly referred to as domestic violence in count 1, did make an assault or assault and battery upon Jamie Sabercool, her spouse or former spouse, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.81 parents 2. There's restitution that may be ordered if there's damage to another person's property or physical injury or death to that person pursuant to 780.811A. It's a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Ma'am, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been made against you?
Ew.
All right. You have certain rights in this misdemeanor charge, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question those witnesses against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You are represented for purposes of this arraignment by the Public Defender's Office, Jonathan Foreman. Do you plan to seek additional representation from the Public Defender's Office in regards to this file?
I do.
All right, I'll indicate yes for representation from the Public Defender's Office. Your pretrial in this matter is set for July 17th, 2023 at 10 o'clock in front of Judge Ward. So that's July 17th, 2023, in front of Judge Ward. Ma'am, do you have an address other than the 1038 Parker Street? There'll be a no contact order with that address and the person and Miss Jamie Sabercool. Do you have an address that you can use for notification purposes?
Yes.
And what address is that?
5461 North Watson Road,
All right. And then what city is that in?
Elsie.
Elsie? And do you know the zip code of that address?
48831.
All right. Do you have a phone number that you can be reached at?
517-214.
Okay.
8224.
Are you on probation or parole, ma'am?
No,
Are you employed?
yes and no. I just got hired in, but I don't start till August.
Okay. I'll enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Foreman, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Sabercool this morning. She informed me that in her criminal history, there are no felonies, nothing assaulted, nothing of that nature. She's lived in Michigan on and off for her whole life. Her parents live in Elsie. That's where she'll be residing for the nature of this case, or for the duration of this case, excuse me. Never failed to appear for court before. So given all that, given that this is a misdemeanor, we would request a personal bond in this matter.
Thank you. This is so I'll order so if you're able to make bond, the following bond conditions will be in place. There's a GPS of zone notification. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim in this case, who is Jamie Sabercool. No possession, and that's direct or indirect, and you should be 2,000 feet of her work, place of business, school, or presence. No possession of a firearm. I've had the opportunity to see Ms. Sabercool's criminal history. It is a light criminal history as indicated by counsel. It's a domestic assault case. I will set a low 10% bond of $1,000, 10%. And that's all for the record on People versus Christine Marie Sabercool. Thank you today.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I apologize. I missed the pretrial date on that. If you could tell me again.
It was,
July 17th at 10 with Judge Ward.
what's it?
July 17th at 10 with
Ju-
Judge Ward.
July 17th at 10 with Judge Ward.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And then we have that's a Johnson Zachary. So is it Johnson Zachary or Zachary Clyde Johnson? 23-01549. Zachary Johnson. So we'll call Zachary Johnson for a bond. That's a fail to appear. Yeah, bond violation.
And Your Honor, I haven't had a chance to speak with Mr. Johnson. He wasn't on the list that I was given. By
Did you want to see him in a breakout room quickly?
No, that would be great. Thank you.
So I don't think Mr. Foreman's had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Johnson concerning the bond. This is a fail to appear. So jail, how does that work?
You just put us in the breakout room, sir, and then when
All right.
Mr. Johnson comes out, you would have to pull us out manually. We can't do that in here.
All right, so so Mr. Foreman, I'll have you meet with Mr. Johnson in room 1.
Thank you.
Can I just plead?
He's he's the one that was other reported probation within 48 hours, and then we got the email saying he had reported after 14 days.
I'm just gonna remand him until he meets with, and then we'll set his bond at. What did I set his bond at?
He had a bunch of felonies, and I put him down to 2 misdemeanor drug charges.
So he's at 5,000, 10%, so I put him at.
Yeah. Not.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome, Mr. Foreman. Let's see if we can get him back now. All right, so we're on the record in docket 23-01549. And sir, you are Zachary Clyde Johnson, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan Foreman, Office of the Public Defender, here with Mr. Johnson for the purposes of this bench warrant arraignment today.
All right, and Mr. Foreman, you did have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Johnson in a breakout room, is that correct?
I did, thank you.
All right. So this is the time set for essentially a bench warrant was set. You were told at I think by myself to report to probation within 48 hours of release. You failed to do that, and therefore a bench warrant has been issued for your arrest on this matter. That is on the underlying charge of an added count of use of methamphetamine and an attempt an R&O. That looks like that was the added counts 4 and counts 5. So that's what you're being arraigned for. You've not had a pre-sentence done in this regard. So at this point in time, based on your fail to appear, I'm going to remand you until the pre-sentence is done, or else they don't have any way of coming to get in contact with you. So remand to have the pre-sentence done for your sentencing. After you're remanded, after they do the pre-sentence, bond will be set. And counsel, would you like to be heard on bond on this matter?
I'd ask the court to reinstate its prior bond at this time.
All right, and I have some serious concerns, Mr. Johnson, as to whether you're going to appear. Although it looks like that you don't have previous failed to appears on this file. but I will set the previous bond that was set at, which was 3,010%. But of course, that bond will not be reset until the pre-sentence is done because we don't have a pre-sentence on you. Anything else for the record in 23-01-549, Mr. Foreman?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson, you're all set. We'll see you on the sentencing date. All right, I think unless you have more files than I do, Jail, we're all set today, right?
Yep, we are out of files as well, sir. Have a happy 4th of July.
All right,
Try
to enjoy the rest of your 4th.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Foreman, it's been nice to meet you. Try to enjoy the rest of your 4th, okay?
You too, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you.